This season, OG Anunoby has emerged as a leading candidate to win the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year award, but the player has not just stopped there, as he has taken, it seems, another step on offense as well, so much so that reporters around the league are very much starting to notice. So in today's video, we're going to break down what has changed for OG Anunoby's offensive output this season, and we'll break down yesterday's career night he had against the Miami Heat. Let's get into it. What's going on, NBA and Raptors fans? It's Jacob here back with Amateur Sports for another Toronto Raptors YouTube video. On this channel, I give you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news and videos and content just like this. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You can help me on my road to 13,000 subs. In return, you get all these great Raptors videos along with watch parties for those Raptors games. So let's get into our content for today. OG Anunoby with a monster performance against the Miami Heat yesterday, lifting them above the Heat in the win that was eventually 112-104. And the Raptors, we know they've been dealing with injury troubles. Thankfully, Fred VanVleet was back this game and he looked pretty good as well, but without Pascal Siakam, especially along with Gary Trent Jr., we've needed players to step up. We had that game against the Detroit Pistons a few nights ago where OG did not look like he was at his best, but a player emerged in Delano Banton to get us over the line and get us this victory. And the one yesterday against the Miami Heat, albeit there was no Bam Adebayo or Tyler Hero, but based on the injuries on both sides, it was probably an even matchup, and that's what we saw mostly throughout the game here. But OG Anunoby was operating on another level offensively. The defensive things, they are still there. People have been kind of, not necessarily critical, but wondering why the steal numbers aren't quite there at the moment. But make no mistake, the on-ball defense has been outstanding. The off-ball help defense, I think, has taken another leap this season, has allowed him to be one of the elite defenders in the NBA. The reason we have seen him top 3, and I would say he should be top 2 on the Defensive Player of the Year ladder. So what was different yesterday? I mean, we've seen OG Anunoby consistently at his best defensively, and many people have, as you saw with those rankings. But what has changed offensively? Because he just seems to be taking that step we've been wanting him to take for so long. He seems to be taking that step in the midst of the last few weeks here. And it's not just because Pascal Siakam is injured. OG Anunoby was putting up excellent numbers even with Siakam still playing with the team here. But, you know, in the necessity's sake here, we had to stick the ball in somebody's hand late game. Yesterday, that man was OG Anunoby. It's very rare to see this Raptors team play a game where down the stretch, close game, 1 or 2 possession game. I mean, it ended at 112-104, but it was a 1 possession game down the stretch, and the Raptors just basically stuck the ball in OG Anunoby's hands and asked him to create some offense, and create offense he did, whether that was with passing, whether that was with actually scoring himself, or even drawing double, triple teams down to the low post, kicking out to somebody who's open and creating from there. And the reason they had to care so much about OG is that he just was not missing yesterday, it seemed. He shot 13 for 18 from the field, ended up dropping 32 points to go along with it. Not quite his career high of 36, but still 32 points on 13 for 18 shooting, along with only 1 for 3 from 3, but I mean, he piled up points elsewhere, 10 rebounds and 3 assists to go along with that. He was a man on a mission yesterday, and it put the NBA on notice with reporters such as Tim Bontemps of ESPN sounding off that this was the best game he had ever seen OG play. And you know what? He might be right about that. Obviously, we've seen some more points here, but have we ever really seen OG take over a game like we saw here? I think there was one, maybe 1 or 2 years ago now, where he faced off against the Pacers. This might have been that 36-point night where he just went off, but as dominant and as takeover as he was here, I don't think we've seen that. Like, sure, OG can really stack up points from 3. If he gets hot from the outside, we kick out. The catch and shoot game is very good for this player. But this game, like the individual shot creation we saw here, was just otherworldly from OG. And I think the biggest thing that we saw from yesterday is the shot selection really starting to find itself. Earlier on in the season, it was very clear the Raptors were working on finding OG's mid-range game and his isolation mid-range sort of game, and it looked pretty ugly to say the least. OG's numbers were hurting as a result. He was kind of losing confidence. The Raptors as a whole just looked worse when they had the ball in OG's hands, but things have changed since then. He's really cleaned it up, and now the focus for him, other than, of course, getting those catch-and-shoot threes, which he has consistently done, the focus for him has been getting downhill and getting to the rim. Yeah, there was no Bam Adebayo yesterday. OG can only play what's in front of him, and what was in front of him was a lack of players who could stop him getting to the paint. Something that he has that he just doesn't really use enough, but used a lot yesterday, was his strength. He is very, very strong for his size. It allows him to defend the 1 through 5. I mean, defending guys like Nikola Jokic sometimes, it's great to have actual bigs in this team now where he doesn't have to do that, but he's shown a capability of doing that in the past with this team. The Raptors playing small ball, but now he's using it more offensively, getting a full head of steam, attacking the paint, muscling his way to the rim, and putting in the layup. That is something that we need to see more of from OG, because those shots are wildly more efficient than settling for those mid-range shots. And he was cooking, getting to the rim, finishing at the rim, finishing through contact, drawing fouls, going to the line, and hitting those shots from the line as well. Only one three-pointer with those 32 points. You saw the way he was stacking up points in the paint, and once he saw that was cooking, his confidence went up. All of a sudden, he's getting double teamed. All of a sudden, OG maybe has to diverge that mid-range game a little bit more. And guess what? Those shots yesterday were falling, so he kept going to that, but kept mixing up the game where he'd get to the rim, maybe he'd take a couple shots in mid-range, and everything was working for the player. So a new level for him maybe this season offensively so far, and this is something that, maybe a 32.9 on 13 for 18 shooting isn't quite sustainable, but there have been improvements with the shot selection. The biggest thing for me, and it was so good to see this, and I just talked about it, was just using his size to get to the rim. That is something that is just going to take him to another level that he just does not do consistently. And I think right now in this stretch, he's really starting to recognize how much individual talent that he has as an offensive player, and is really just starting to blossom in that category. In the offseason, there was all those rumors and talk about OG not being happy with his role in Toronto. And though, it's great to see a player having the hunger for a bigger role, I said that I felt like last season there were plenty of opportunities with the ball in OG's hands where he could just get downhill and get to the rim, attack the paint, and it was maybe him who needed to be assertive in getting that role, because he gets the touches. The ball goes to him. The misconception that the players don't pass to him, Siakam's a ball hog and doesn't give him the ball, I think that's wildly incorrect. And we are seeing this season with Siakam's assist numbers that it is definitely incorrect. OG gets the ball plenty. It's just now we're seeing a lot more aggression from him to get those points for himself in the paint. And it just is so good to see with this Raptors team at the moment, who are now 9-7. On any given night, there is a new player who you give the ball to and go and win you the game. Right now, with Siakam out, we've had to kind of divert and go to these different players. So there's the Detroit Pistons game where Delano Banton has a huge game. We had a game against the Chicago Bulls where Fred VanVleet was a monster down the stretch. We've seen last season Gary Trent Jr. with the ability to close out a game. And now we're seeing OG developing that ability to close a game. And hopefully we get to a point where a much improved Scottie Barnes from yesterday, hopefully get to a point where he can be a guy to close the game down the stretch. So many options for this team. Lots of good players. Lots to like about this. But OG defensively, we've spoken about him a lot, but the credit needs to start going to OG offensively as well. And as I mentioned, with Tim Bontemps of ESPN, appears on the Hoop Collective podcast, which I am a frequent listener to, with OG Anunoby taking this leap offensively, maybe it seems, he's really starting to put people on notice for that. One of the top elite two-way players in the NBA sometimes when he's operating at this level. Easily one of the elite defenders in the league already, but can he ascend to that consistent level of offensive efficiency by continuing to get downhill to the rim? I 100% think he is capable of continuing to stretch. It's not like easy to get shots at the rim, but your shooting percentages drastically increase when you consistently get shots down low. You go to the rim, good things happen. We saw that with OG. Continue to be hungry, continue to have that aggression. And look, if a team is going to throw Nikola Jovic in the paint at you consistently, you can go to town on those situations. That's what he did. Jovic had 11 points the first quarter. Didn't get much time elsewhere because playing as the big, there wasn't a good role for him there. OG punished the Heat for that. And hey, no Bam Adebayo. I completely understand that, but what are we going to do? He wasn't playing. OG feasted as a result. Raptors win 9-7 on the season. The shirt I'm wearing here, if you noticed it, if you like it, make sure you check out Ovian Art on Instagram. I'll put the handle on the screen right now. Go to that account and you can check out his store to get shirts like this. I also wore another shirt a couple of weeks ago, so shout out to him. This video, make sure you drop a like if you did enjoy. It goes a long way to supporting the channel, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more videos and content just like this. Going on vacation this weekend, not as much content. There should be a video out on Saturday, but no stream on Saturday. Hope to see you guys at the video Saturday, and next week regular content will be back.